It's the blue eyes for me. It's the Ferrari for me. No. It's the Super Kicks t-shirt for me. Yes, guys, I'm back with some more Super Kicks related stuff. Everyone knows that I love Super Kicks, and I only kind of tackle things and put this sounds very egotistical of me, but put my name on things that I truly love. Super Kicks is one of those things. We know the people behind Super Kicks, and we know they're constantly trying to create new things and new designs, and as you see on the screen right now, a brand new kind of redesigned, easier to navigate website. And there's some stuff on sale, like some sweatshirts and all of that kind of stuff. Of course, you know, if you use the code Josh00, you can get free shipping. You just got to go to superkicks.com. That's SPRKIX.com. You get some free shipping, site-wide, completely anywhere in the world. If you want to get some stuff like some sweatshirts or a cool gold shirt, or just, you know, what I like to call the traditional Super Kick shirt, that one you see on the screen right now. All different kinds of stuff, some hoodies and some beanies and some different kinds of wrestler designs and podcasters and all this kind of cool stuff. I love Super Kicks. I'm going to keep talking about Super Kicks because I'm very passionate about things that I put my name against, and this is one of those things. It's like, okay, you like me, maybe you'll love Super Kicks. You'll find something you love, feel confident, feel fresh, feel trendy, kind of everything. It just kind of fits with anything. I'm a believer in, to feel confident, you have to look confident. And this is the kind of stuff I feel confident in. It makes me feel confident that I can take on the world. Feel like I get in with today's society. All that kind of cool stuff. So if you go to superkicks.com, that's SPRKIX.com, enter the code Josh00, you get yourself some free shipping. Grab something you love, I know you will, and then people will be saying, it's the Super Kicks t-shirt for me. Hey guys, and welcome to episode number 2 of Are You Recording Yet with the one and only, me, Josh. Are You Recording Yet with Josh? It's truly, truly humbling to see the amount of love and support and just viewership for the debut episode last week. It's crazy to me that you guys listened and watched and all this kind of stuff. It's really cool to see. So, how to follow up episode 1? The only way I know how. One of my favorite people on this planet is the Queen of NE. She's going to be on this episode today. I'm not going to waste too much more time. I'll just let you know that Queen isn't a video person, which we all know. So her logo's on here. My face is on here. So just letting you know that you won't be able to see Queen. You'll still see me. So make sure if you're listening to this on audio, I do recommend you check out video here on YouTube, of course, Josh Robinson 00. All my links are in the description below, as well as Queen's. So check out this conversation. It is so cool. This conversation goes in so many different places, and it just goes so many different avenues. So it's a really good chat. So enjoy this chat with the one and only Queen of NE. Okay, guys, you heard in my intro, this is probably the most excited podcast for this show thus far I'm doing, because I mean, it's Queen, everybody. I mean, there's not really too many people I can just have a conversation with more than just Queen, and we could probably talk for 5 hours if we really let it happen. But Queen, it is let's put this into words. It's an interesting time in the world, just everywhere. I feel like that's been the kind of key to this year. It's been very interesting in a word. But more importantly than anything, Queen, the first question I have to ask you is, how is pregnant life treating you?
Well, firstly, hey, buddy, I missed you.
I'm so happy everyone, I just want to say, Queenie, as everyone knows, Queenie's not a video person, so that's why the logo's here, but you still get to see my beautiful face. I can see Queenie because I'm special, but
yes,
you know how Queenie is. just putting everyone out there. Nothing's broken or anything, anyone, just how it is. But anyway, sorry to interrupt.
That's all right. Star of the show, Josh. And you cue, obviously, in there. Pregnant life is fantastic now. In the beginning.
I like how you put now, because I knew you were having like your, I'll just, lack of a better term, issues with it.
I was having issues. Yeah. I mean, definitely not as bad as other people. And I know that for sure. So I'm super grateful. But I had extremely bad nausea. And it wasn't even like the vomiting side, not to get gross, but it was like, I felt like I was on a
Get gross.
boat.
Get gross.
Yeah.
Who gives a fuck?
Yeah. Right. I felt like I was on a boat for the first 3 months of my pregnancy, just
Nice.
constantly nauseous. It was
Mm.
terrible. Yeah.
Mm.
But and super tired, which is why I was like, I gotta stop podcasting. I just can't stay up to watch anything anymore, and I don't
I
have
get
the energy. Like, I just want to fall asleep at like 4 in the afternoon. So
it.
once we got past that, I feel great. Baby's
That's
doing
good.
great. I feel so
Yeah.
much better. I feel like myself again. So it's good.
I will say, not to the cliche, I can see you right now and you are glowing. So that's a good thing.
Oh,
You're
thanks,
glowing.
Joshy.
Um,
Yeah, it's a real thing. I didn't think, like, I've seen many pregnant people in my life.
Queen's never seen a pregnant
Like,
person, anybody.
yeah, right. I've obviously seen several, and you definitely see the glow. But when it's you, you're like, I don't really know if that's like a thing. Oh,
I guess
it's a
that's like,
thing.
but like when you look at yourself in the mirror, you don't look at anything nice about yourself, do you? It's
No,
like
never,
you're like
never.
this. Look at this fat roll, and look at my chin here. It's like,
I know,
you're probably looking at
but
yourself and like, I'm not glowing. I'm ugly, like
I'm
something like that.
ugly.
Yeah.
There are some days like that, but the other day I looked and I was like, oh my God, my skin. Like,
You
oh,
are
this is the
actually glowing.
pregnancy thing. And I was like, oh, thanks.
I'm
And
like,
like,
bitch, where's
my
your
hair is so
skincare? Send it
long.
over to me. I'm
I
like,
mean, it's just hormones. I don't think you want that.
no, and I can 100% accurately say that I will never be pregnant, but
Yes.
you know, who knows what life will bring. Maybe one day I'll just be like, oh, what the hell? But is it, I know this sounds cliche as well, but is it as magical as you kind of thought it would be? I guess as I don't know, because it's different for me, because it's not like I was 8 years old being like, one day I'm going to be pregnant. But for you, you're probably like, one day I'll probably be pregnant in my life. And you've kind of had this idea and you've seen other women go through
Mhm.
pregnancy. Is it as magical as you kind of expected to be, weirdly enough?
Um, I'd say it's a little more mind blowing than I thought it would be.
Hmm.
And it's very magical the first time you see your baby. That's
Mm.
for sure. Like, I knew that was going to be special. Like you said, building it up in your mind. Someday there'll be a human inside of me and I'll get to see them.
Is
Like,
that weird to you? Because it'd
it's
be
so weird.
like you've got another human in. That sounds weird.
Yeah.
Not like that, but you know what
Not
I
like
mean.
that, but yeah. Yeah. In the growing capacity. Yes.
Yes.
That's weird. It's a mind blowing that you're looking at your body and things are changing, but not overtly at first.
Yeah.
Things are pretty much the same.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you go into this doctor's office and they use a little probe and little camera, basically, ultrasound camera. It's not
Nice.
really a real camera, but you know what I mean. And you get to see your baby and you're like,
What the
wait a
hell?
whole minute. That's me? That's in me?
Yes,
So it's very
so
bizarre, but at the same time, it is magical. I think the most magical moment I've had is hearing my baby's heartbeat for the first time.
Can
That
imagine.
felt like, oh, we're like, it's happening. Game on.
It's
You know?
real. It's not
It's
like
real.
a weird like pinch me, I'm dreaming kind of moment like
Right.
that. Would be weird. It's just
Yeah,
it's so for what first for you're having a girl, aren't you?
I am.
Which
Yeah.
is, I guess, regardless of what you're having, you'd always be happy. But there's got to be a little party
Yes.
that's like, I'm having a little girl.
Yes.
That's
I
right.
kind of, I know. I had a feeling pretty much once I hit about 8 weeks and I went to that first ultrasound, I was like, pretty sure it's a girl.
Yeah.
And Mr. Queen was like, no, how do you know? That's ridiculous. He's like, it's definitely a boy. And I'm like, no, I'm telling you, it's a girl. I just knew. And when we found out it was a girl, I was like beside myself. I would have been super happy either way, of
Yeah.
course.
Yeah.
But there's something about a little girl and I'm really excited. And I think it has a lot to do with the fact that, like, I have a super, super close relationship with my dad. And I'm very lucky in that respect to have that. And I just kind of looked over at Mr. Queen and I was like, you're going to experience this. And like,
Oh.
I don't know if you're ready for how awesome this is, because
Yeah.
it's such a special thing, dad, daughter. And I'm excited for him. I think it made it like more fun for me to
You just
be like, oh my god, it's a girl, and now I know.
get giddy over it almost. Not my cat, but like you get
not your
giddy
cat,
over
but
it. I don't know.
yeah.
Is she here today? Usually she hangs out when I'm recording. She's not here. She didn't want to see you, Queen, I guess.
That's all right.
She's like,
She didn't
whatever.
forget it. She's like,
She'll
oh,
probably
that
come
one
in at some
again.
point.
Ugh.
And she's like, this bish. She's just had enough. No. But it must be that giddy feeling. I know what it's like to, you know, parent relationships just in general. You have different bonds with your dad and with your mum. It's always going to be different. I know I cherish my relationship with my mum. I've always been way closer with my mum, especially since coming out, Queen. I mean, that relationship's just gotten stronger because it could go either way. It can go either way.
Yeah.
I've seen lots of different people lose their parents over stuff, not just coming out, just other things as well. But it's just gotten stronger, and it's just like, oh my God, that's just the best. There's no relationship like your parents either way. I mean, everyone knows I don't really speak with my father, but there'll always be a relationship. He's still always my dad. But my mom and me are so close, and I love that kind of, everyone's just like, okay, mom and daughter, dad and son, but there is this kind of special bond in between mom and son. Like that's so special to me. And it's so crazy to me that I'm talking to you right now. You have another little human inside of you, and you're going to get that bond with your daughter, and that's kind of just bizarre to me. But I knew that was going to be the first thing we talked about, because we haven't spoke. It's been a hot minute since we've talked.
I know.
We speak all the time on Twitter. I give you a fucking song every day. So we
speak you do, buddy.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
At time of recording, I think we're at 160.
160.
We're in
it's the best playlist ever. I bop to it at work when, you know, no one else is listening. I got my headphones in.
Sly little ninja queen, just like, ooh.
That's right.
But it is that's to me is like, you know, like the reason I kind of did this, A, is because I just adore you, but B is because, have you noticed, like, Twitter, you open it up and it's just a cesspool of just negativity with even just the media, not even just people on it, but like the media is just it's every day you get to wake up, because it's usually early for you when you wake up. It's like 6 o'clock in the morning, and you get a song, and it's usually a happy song, and except for Crying Week, but usually it's a happy
you did me in then.
Oh yeah, My Immortal by Evanescence. Oof. That's just like hits me in the heart. But it's just like something to wake up to, and it's like, okay, the first thing you don't have to see something about politics or COVID or anything like that. You just get to see a song, and you actually, everybody listening, Queen actually genuinely listens to all of these songs, which is bizarre.
I really do.
Yeah,
I really do, and it's such a special thing. When you said that you were going to do this and you're going to do it every day, I was like, that's a commitment, bro. Like, this is every day, and it's just for me, and I feel super special about it. And my playlist rules. But it is that, because logging into Twitter and I see I have a notification from you, I know what it is. And I'm like, yes. I bypass everything else and I go straight to the song, and I see what are we vibing to this week? What are we vibing to today? And then I get ready for work and I pop it on and I drive to work, and that's what I listen to every morning, is whatever song that you've picked out for me. And then I go into the rest of the playlist sometimes, or I'll listen to something else, or I'll listen to a podcast. And
I gave Queen a whole album at one stage. I was like,
whole album. It was
a whole album.
Literally, first of all, the best. Great choice.
I'm Not Dead. It's her best album. Don't at me, anybody. It's her best album.
Her best album, hands down.
So good.
But I been thinking about that, because it's such a nice gesture to see that, because there is so much negativity from people. Even in, you know, wrestling fandom is getting insane, and politics and COVID, and every 5 seconds something is wrong, and it's like, and that power of positivity is like a real thing. This is
the reason I post it to public, is because other people have seen it, and they've come to me and they'd be like, I get people in my Twitch streams, like just even my Twitch friends that aren't like wrestling fans, they go, you post a song to Queen every day. And I'm like, this is the reason I do it, is because other people are noticing, like, he's going out of his way. Because at the end of the day, Queen, it takes me a minute to do. It's nothing off my back. So like, it's not like a big thing, for me to do. But it's like, people see that and they go, he's going out of his way just to do something nice. And people always are happy about it. They're like, you've done this for 160 days. That's crazy. Like, imagine doing that. And it's like, that's the reason I don't DM you these songs, is I put it on public, you retweet it every time, and we vibe about it. And it's like, it's just something, usually for the majority of my audience, at least in the States, even in the UK, it's morning. You're seeing it as you wake up. It's I do it at 7 p.m. every single day usually. It's just, spreading that a little bit more, because we all preach that we want this place to be better and we want the world to be better, but not many people actually try to actively make it better. And there's going to be, everyone has, I'm not saying you can't be positive all the time, because that's crazy. There's too much in the world
Yes.
going on that's just awful to be like, never mind. Like, you got to take the good with the bad. But even just that one thing, if I can just be one positive message a day, and then I'll go on and posting about how much I don't like some politicians. But it's like, it's no sweat off my back, and it's easy to do, and it's something for you to have to wake up to your morning. You know what I mean? So I just don't understand why more people, not saying post a song to everybody, but why can't more people just do a gesture that it doesn't really, at the end of the day, change my day at all? I'm just like, I'm posting this song for this person, but it's just something to do for somebody else that didn't ask. You're just doing it off your own back. I just don't understand why more people can't take that mentality in the world, not just on Twitter, but in the world.
Yeah, I think it has a lot to do with mindset, right? You know, especially in this crazy year, so much negativity, and it's
This arse of
affecting
a
a
year.
lot of
It's just an
people's.
arse of a year.
It really is, and it's affecting a lot of people's personal lives and mental health, and
Mhm.
you know, it's a struggle, right? And I feel like it's very difficult to kind of push forward when times are this tough, and it has a lot to do with your personal mindset, and the way
Mhm.
that you speak to yourself is the way that you'll speak to others. You know, it sounds cheesy, but positive affirmations are a real thing. And I know
Yeah.
people are like, I don't believe in that, and that's crap, and I'm not gonna. And I'm like, no, say 3 nice things about yourself every day. Watch how that changes your
Mhm.
entire day.
Absolutely.
And you
Absolutely.
and if you can do it multiple times a day, watch how it changes your entire perspective. You know,
Mhm.
one of the things that I've been thinking a lot about recently is, you know, work is such a struggle for so many people right now. Some people don't
Yeah.
have work. Some people are in jobs that they don't want to be in because they need to make ends meet. Some people are just struggling because of the economy, in terms of like their job is so much more demanding than it used to be, even if
Yeah,
they
the
are
front
working from
lines,
home.
even
And then
frontline
the
workers,
frontline
retail
workers.
workers, and I don't think enough
Yes.
people, if people talk about, and this isn't to diminish anyone in any field, but
Hmm.
retail work, I'm in retail and I'm just speaking from experience, and this year has been tough to be like, I
So
don't want to be
hard.
at work. I don't want to be at work because I'm scared I'm going to get COVID.
Hmm.
You know,
You're
I'm back
right.
in a lockdown now, everybody. For anyone, that time of recording, I'm back in a partial lockdown. And it scares me tomorrow that I have to work 8 hours a day and be in the line of potentially getting sick. I don't have a choice in that, everybody. I understand that I'm very grateful to have my job. I'm very grateful to be able to go to work and make money. But at the same time, it's very scary that
Hmm.
any of these people that are in this shop right now could potentially be infected with coronavirus.
And give it to you. Yeah. And it's, and you know, for people who work in retail, and for people who are in the medical field, and
Exactly.
for people who don't have a choice but to go to work every single day in person, and don't have proper PPE, or don't have the, I'd say, the care and respect of their consumers and customers
Mhm.
to protect themselves to save you, you know. I think it's such a big struggle, but something that I've been working on is waking up every day, instead of saying, oh my God, I have to go to work, I'm nervous, I say, I get to go to work today.
Yep.
So what can I do?
Yep.
Right. And then my next question is, what can I do to make it safer for myself
Yep.
and for the people I care about at work? What can I do? And that mentality has made it a little bit easier to go in to a
Not
frontline
completely easy,
essential
everybody. It
job.
doesn't just make it all go
It doesn't
away.
make it all easier, but it is a little, it's a little something. So, you know, it calms that anxiety and fear about
Hmm.
having to be basically in the front line of, am I going to get sick today? Right?
Especially
Is
for
this
you
the day
too.
where I get
I
COVID?
mean, you got to be
Yeah.
extra careful. You're not just caring about yourself. You've got another human being inside of you that, like, I
Yeah.
really can't get sick at this stage.
Mm-mm.
So I guess you would be considered a vulnerable person at this stage in COVID.
You know, what's interesting is the CDC did put pregnancy on the high risk list, or
Yeah.
you know, next to people who have, you know, a diabetes or a type of cancer or something like that,
Yep.
COPD,
Yep.
right? All of those things that are on the top of the list,
Yep.
which is interesting, but people don't seem to think it's the same seriousness level. And that kind of baffles my mind. I'm like, but there's a human in there. It's not
There's
just
a
my
little
life. I have
human.
another life. Like, and I'm
Mm.
not saying like you have to believe anything about when life starts or how life is. That's all on you. But right now there's a baby inside me. So I have to be like, okay, well, what am I going to do to like make sure that I'm good? And how come you
Yeah.
don't think that that's a serious thing for me to be like concerned about.
I don't get
What's
it.
up with that, Josh? What's
People,
up with
people in the world are, if anything, 2020, if I can take away a positive look at 2020, I don't really have to waste my time on a lot of people because a lot of people have exposed
Right.
themselves. And
Helpful.
it's a little less energy that I have to waste on people that don't really deserve that energy. That's how I'm kind of seeing this. But
Yeah.
in the terms of positive outlooks of quarantine and lockdown, we've all been in lockdown at some stage, and we're not. Some of us are, some of us aren't now. But what's something positive you can take away from quarantine? Have you learned anything about yourself or done anything that you didn't have necessarily had time to do before that you kind of like, oh, I learned that skill, or I watched this show, or what's something positive you can take away from quarantine?
Yeah, something positive I can take away is I had so much more time on my hands. I was still working,
Yeah.
but I was working out of my house. So there were things to do.
So you could wear no pants, it wouldn't matter.
It wouldn't matter, you know, but I dedicated myself to working out. I hate to run. I hate it. Running
Me
is not my
too.
thing.
I hate
It's the
sweating.
worst.
Ugh,
Well, also, yes, I hate sweating, but
it's gross.
I hate running. I'm okay with weights, but like I'm not super into weightlifting. I do my normal stuff, regular,
Yeah. Yeah.
10 pounds and we're good.
And you're like,
But
yep, good.
yeah, we bought a boxing system
Oh.
and we have a
Watch out, world. Watch out. Here comes the next friggin' Mike Tyson or something.
listen, you be careful. My hook is nasty. So I didn't think that that'd be something I would enjoy. But Mr. Queen also hates to run, but he used to run a lot and wanted something else that was intense and an overall body workout. And he's like, I think I want to try this. And I said, okay. Like, I guess I'll try too. I ended up being obsessed with it, Josh. Obsessed. Like, I'm kind of sad that I can't do the as intense workouts anymore because, baby. So I have to do less intensity. But I learned basic boxing moves.
That is crazy.
Which is so cool and
but
weird,
don't fight
but
you.
cool.
That's what you're trying to say.
Don't fight me. Yeah.
Hoops
I mean, I
will
was
come
scary
out.
before, right? Scary before, but now. Now I'll knock you out.
It is. That's something cool though.
Isn't that
to
cool?
kind of take away from like, okay, 2020, it's been an arse year. We understand it's been terrible, but you do have to have some things in the world, at least out of quarantine, you go, okay, I can take this away and go, okay, I've rediscovered my love for this, or I've done this, or find boxing of all things. You wouldn't do that if you didn't have the time.
Wouldn't have. I would have just continued to do what I normally did for workouts and I would have hated it. And now I found something that I loved. But like crazy. You over there, when your quarantine life, you've done so many cool things. Now you're twitching like a king over there.
Well, okay. I'll pat myself on the back for that one.
You should. What a little platform you built for yourself, Joshy.
It's weird. It's weird to me that when other people, like, for example, like, so at time of recording, this is a day after the first episode of this dropped, and I got so much. Like, did you notice something? And a lot of podcasters like tag people in their posts, and that's fine. What works for you? I didn't tag nobody. I was like, I'm just gonna let this kind of see. It is not that I'm bragging about numbers, but it's the biggest episode I've ever had of any podcast ever.
It's my boy.
I'm like, what the hell? People actually want to listen to me talk or want to watch on YouTube and stuff like that. And like subs are building, follows are building. And it's like, this is weird. This is so weird because I'm not, I'm trying not to sound like I'm being cocky and bragging.
No, I know.
It's like, it's weird that I got
He's totally a diva, guys.
Yeah, I am. You should see, I'm just like, as soon as I get off this recording, I just like walk on my runway and I'm just like flipping my hair all the time.
With a full fan Beyonce style. Yeah.
Beyonce wishes she was me.
Oh my God.
But not everyone can be. I get it. It is weird though that I'm like, quarantine has helped me with that because if I'm not at work, I have to be home. It's not like I can go and hang out with a lot of friends. You can't do that. Now that I'm back in a partial lockdown again, 2 weeks before my birthday, I will add. So I can see we're allowed to have gatherings up to 8 people in a house. So I can invite a couple of friends over for a few drinks. Woo. But whatever.
Can't go to the club, Josh. I'm sorry.
I can't do anything. So I just turn 25 and cry, I guess, is the kind of plan. But
great. Well, I mean, it's your party. You can cry if you want to.
You just, yeah, something just popped into my brain that I know you've been tweeting about, and I know you were tweeting about last year when it originally came out, is The Mandalorian. Okay, so everybody right now, if you have not watched The Mandalorian up until the episode as of last Friday, which is the date would have been the 13th of
13th.
So if you
Yep.
haven't watched up to the 13th of November, I need you to pause this podcast because we'll be talking spoilers, because we have to talk about a certain someone in that episode when we get to it. Now, Mandalorian, from my understanding, we've had conversations about Star Wars before. You're not like the biggest Star Wars fan in the world, however, Mr. Queen is.
Yes, I would say he's an old school Star Wars fan.
Okay.
So like the original
trilogy
ones from the 70s.
Yep.
And then he has a lot to say about episodes 1 through 3.
Oh, I know. We've had
chats about that.
Would you say you're a casual Star Wars fan?
Well, yes, I would say I'm a casual Star Wars fan in that the episodes in the 70s, like, they're all right and I can appreciate them. But for me, the Star Wars fandom came about because A, Mr. Queen made me watch it, but B, I started to like some of the new stuff. And I know that's controversial because Disney and blah, blah, blah. But
I love it. You can talk to me about it. I love it. I
know. We do talk about it, which is lovely. And it's nice. But I really kind of gravitated towards that and to some of their other sort of spin-off films. Not so much Solo, because that was kind of trashy, but Rogue One I thought was really good.
Rogue One is a great like war film.
Right. I thought it was great. Like it felt so like dark. Military.
Very dark.
Very dark. Which
and I love that.
Me too.
Have you watched the prequels? Have you watched episodes like from the 90s to mid 2000s, like episodes 1, 2, and 3?
I've watched parts of them. I just can't stand Hayden Christian. I
get it.
I can't.
Watch Revenge of the Sith, episode 3. It's very dark.
Yes, I have watched that one. It's very dark.
And
that's my favorite of the prequels.
It's very good because it's just so they kill kids and shit in that. It's like fucked, but it's like very dark. And I like dark films like that. Not saying I like to kill children. That's not what I'm saying. It's
not today.
Well, not today. Who knows? It's just such a dark film that I don't like. I like when films don't have necessarily happy endings. I like when you end on a bit of ooh, that made me feel a certain way.
Yes.
But the Disney trilogy episodes 7, 8, 9. You've watched all 3?
All 3 multiple times.
Okay. First thing I'll ask you before we talk about Mando, because Mando is just
that's my love right there.
But Force Awakens is episode 7. I genuinely love that film. It does take a little bit to get into it, but so did A New Hope back in the 70s. So, it's kind
slow
of
going.
It's a bit of a slow burn. A lot of people hate The Last Jedi, which I can understand, but I actually genuinely liked The Last Jedi. How'd you feel about
I liked it too.
Force Awakens, Last Jedi? How'd you feel about those two?
I like
also Star Wars Jedi. Spoilers, everybody. If you haven't watched these films, again, spoilers.
Also, what are you doing with your life?
It's your fault at this point if you haven't watched them all at this point. But spoiler alert for anybody that hasn't watched them. So first 2, and then we'll talk about Rise of Skywalker in a minute. But first 2.
Well, I love the first one. And I agree. It does take a little bit to kind of like jumpstart it. And I remember when we went to go see it in theaters, I was like, you're dragging me to a Star Wars film? Are you kidding me? Because that's how I felt about it at the time.
Did he make you go at midnight?
No, he saved me that. Thank God.
Oh, I went at midnight. I'm a crazy boy though.
I would have gone like now. If it was out now and I know, I would go. Yeah. Well, not really because of COVID, but you know what I mean. Last Jedi, I really liked the dichotomy of the struggle between light and dark. I really identify with that. It's one of the things I love so much about Harry Potter. And I have a lot to say about Harry Potter, but that's for another day. But the struggle, the internal struggle between I could go either way. Like I could embrace the darkest parts of myself, or I could do a braver thing and defy that side and do what is considered to be the good side, the light side, right? Yeah.
I really liked that. I like
considered to be that. Because listen,
what is good and bad?
What is good and bad, and who decides that? A, B, you're seeing the presentation from a particular person's point of view.
I wonder from the Jedi point of view.
Correct. I challenge people to think about this because this is why I like The Last Jedi so much. It was a struggle for both Kylo Ren and Rey. More so her than him in that particular film because it was her journey to say, okay, like I recognize this now inside me, and everything I
Because she
thought
has
is
such
wrong.
a strong connection with
She
Kylo. Are you a
does,
Rey
big
fan?
time.
I should ask. Do you like Rey?
I do like Rey most of the time. Sometimes she annoys me, but I get it. I understand what's going on, and
What
I
do you
understand
say?
why.
What do you say to people that with Rey that Disney just put a quote unquote woman in that lead role because it was the kind of time to do that? You know, some people complain about the fact that it was a woman in that main role just because instead of it being natural. Did you hear a lot of that? Because I did.
I didn't,
Maybe because
but
I'm
I
just like
can
a massive
see
Star
it.
Wars person.
I can see that though. I could see why people would say that. And to them I would say, why not?
Why not?
Why
Yeah.
couldn't it be a woman?
Yeah, I don't get it
We've seen
either.
it from a male perspective this entire time.
I agree. But anyway,
You know?
it was
But
you are
anyhow,
very right. It's very light and dark, and it's that kind of
it
push and
is.
pull.
Push and pull, and the story of, and I challenge people to think this is where I was going before. If you had seen this from Kylo Ren's perspective, from growing up with his parents to being sent to Luke's Jedi school and watching him be, I guess, kind of shunned by his uncle and almost killed, to then saying, my family almost tried to murder me.
Yeah.
And how easily it was for the dark side to swoop in and say, look what your parents did to you. They sent you to that man and he almost slit your throat. Right. And like, I wonder if this story was told from Kylo Ren's perspective, if people would find him more sympathetic in the beginning, as opposed to how he was.
People really
They do hate Kylo, and I really think it's annoying.
Not like a, oh, he's evil kind of way. Like they just find him irritating, which I never did.
I love Kylo Ren.
He was a little bit of a whiner, but every evil person is, in a sense, I think. They all whine about something.
I mean,
who doesn't?
Hello? I think so. Voldemort was a whiner.
I am very much of a, yeah, he was. I'm not a big Harry Potter person. I'm really not. I know you are. I've only watched, but to be fair, I haven't watched them all. I've watched Philosopher's Stone, which isn't called that over there, I don't think, but
it's all right.
Philosopher's Stone, Chamber of Secrets. I didn't watch the third one, whatever that was.
You need to watch the third one. That's the one.
I watched The Goblet of Fire, and then I haven't watched anything after that. So I haven't watched all of Harry Potter. It just didn't
click with you.
But I mean, if I tried to watch it, I haven't watched it in probably 10 years. You know what I mean? Like, it's been a hot minute, so who knows? But yeah, Voldemort, very whingy, just a very, like, shush. Like, so is Kylo to a certain degree. But he also had, I find the best villains have reasons behind them. You go, I hate you, but I understand it.
Yeah, I understand your perspective.
That dichotomy. And going into the third one, Rise of Skywalker, which again, spoiler alert, is my favorite Star Wars film. It took over Phantom Menace, which everyone hates me for because I love the Phantom Menace. But The Rise of Skywalker is, I thought it was brilliantly done. And it made me, I remember being in the theater. I watched it with my younger brother, who's way younger than me. So he has different experiences with Star Wars. I'm like, oh my God, like I felt that movie. To me, it was everything kind of, it needed to end the Skywalker saga. Wherever Disney kind of milks it next is their prerogative. But it ended the Skywalker saga. And it made Rey look like a badass, which I think she was kind of lacking in a few areas. That was my problem. She needed it. She needed to look like someone that could just own that fucking galaxy, basically. And I think it did a good job of that, but some people really didn't like that film.
I know. And I know a lot of like diehard Star Wars fans. One of my coworkers is like, like hardcore. Everything in his room, his office is Star Wars out, but he was like, there's so many plot holes and they just wrap stuff up in a bow. And I was like, it's Disney. Like, yes, of course that's what happens. And he's like, bah, 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 bah. I'm like, relax. Think about it as an overall story arc. Did you get what you wanted at the end?
Yeah.
Did you get the battle scene you wanted at the end? Did you think they might lose? And then all of a sudden the galaxy's lit up. I'm like, what more Rebel Alliance victory could you want?
Star Wars has to end, to me, if you're ending a saga, you have to end happy. You have to end with the good guys winning. That's how it was going to go from the whole time. As soon as they announced Star Wars coming, like Disney bought Star Wars, I'm like, it's Disney. You're going to get a happy ending. That's just how it works with Disney.
With some sadness, right? With some casualties.
Yeah, absolutely. It's not like a flawless victory here, but it's definitely like, you go away from that film like, okay, the good guys won the fight. But that's how Star Wars always is. Star Wars with the, I guess, Revenge of the Sith is a little different because you knew where it was kind of going because it was prequels. But like, this is Disney in a nutshell. But speaking of Disney, they did create something that is probably my favorite piece of Star Wars related anything.
Me too.
Mandalorian is so good at the way, for one, I love the way Mandalorian episodes end because it always makes you go, I wish there was another episode right fucking now.
I hate waiting.
Season 1, I will admit that it took me a minute. I'm like, oh God, like, come on, let's get into this story. But it was a slow pace, but it was done on purpose. And it kind of left you, like, the first couple of episodes, I'm like, I have no idea what's going on. I'm so confused of what's actually happening in the show. And then, you know, things start to kind of come in with the child or Baby Yoda, whatever you want to call him. He's so cute. He's just the cutest little thing. Oh, well, I can see Queen has a cup right now. Queen has a cup right now with the child on it. But it's, that show is so well written. And I love the way I look at, you probably do as well, because you're a bit of a theater nerd and you're a bit of a film nerd like I am. The way that show is filmed is so expertly done. I'm like, the camera angles they choose to make you, because I don't know if people realize this, camera angles and certain filming techniques can make you feel different emotions, at least to me.
Yes.
And the way that it's shot and everything like that. Also, I love the fact that in the credits you see concept art. I think that's really cool. I watch all the credits for it. But season 1 kind of takes you through this journey of Mando. Basically, the idea of this story is that he needs to get the child back to, it's not the Jedi, is it?
Well, he was supposed to go get the child, which he didn't know. Right. Yeah. And of course, he's a bounty hunter. That's what Mandalorians are.
Yeah.
And, you know, he's supposed to get it. And then once he figures out what's the child and what's happening here, he has a connection and can't let that happen. Yeah, so the first season is so much of this, like, what do I do? Because I always thought it was interesting. And I'm so glad they picked Mandalorians to be the thing, because I've always been fascinated by Boba Fett, always. And I wanted to know so much more. Right. So good. I'm like, who are these guys? I'm like, what's going on? And whose side do they fight for? Are they light or are they dark? And it's like,
they're just weird in between. It's like this weird area kind of in the middle. They're weird area.
Right.
I like that.
Very gray. And I'm like, I love this. And I'm very interested in the character. And then, of course, you know, it doesn't last very long. So then when they came up with this, and I was like, we're going to understand the story of the Mandalorian. We're going to understand the gear. We're going to understand why the mask is always on. This is the way. What does that mean? And all of this great backstory. And then you get to see him again struggle. It's great character development. That's what I love so much about the Mandalorian. In addition to the way it's shot, I think you're right. It's expertly shot. It feels like you're there watching it like happen.
Those ship scenes when he's flying.
So damn cool.
Because his ship always is malfunctioning. Oh my God, the poor guy. I always feel so bad for him. Like, he needs like fucking roadside assistance or some shit. Like, he needs something.
He's just
almost like, here we go again. And the child's always like, oh God, like you just see it, you know, he's like freaking out. But going into season 2, so there's 3 episodes that have aired. 3 episodes that have aired at time of recording. There'll be more by the time we get this, we know. But that first episode felt so Star Warsy. I'm like, if Mandalorian lacked anything, not that it was a complaint of mine, it didn't feel Star Warsy. Like, there was nothing like, it's a Star Wars movie, Star Wars series, but like, it just needs something else to make me feel like Star Wars. And then you had the sand.
Yes.
They're little shits of things. But the way they did that, and kind of going into that place, and that guy had all the Mandalorian gear on when he was just kind of protecting his town. I loved that episode, and then even the second episode was really good as well. But it felt very Star Warsy. I guess we'd be silly not to talk about the fact that our favorite little blue-haired lady was in. It was cool to see although she didn't have, and people were complaining, she had like 6 lines. Bitch, it's her
Who cares?
first
It's
role.
6 more than you.
And it's her first role in anything that isn't wrestling. So calm your tits. And she probably got a bucket load of money for it. So she's probably like, yep, I'm cashing my check on this one. She did a good job though. I thought she was quite good.
She did great. I thought so too.
A little Mercedes. I was like, all right. But she, like, the way her facials and that, I'm like, you have something after wrestling. You have something here.
I think that was kind of one of the first things I thought of as well. I'm glad you said that. When I saw her, first of all, she looks great.
She's She's
The outfit.
beautiful.
Listen, Sasha Banks always rocks the best clothing ever, as we know.
We have talked about, we'll tangent off into gear because that's what this show's about. But Sasha Banks has the best, like, gear game. There's not too many people that I'm like just consistently great. There's not a bad Sasha Banks outfit. Not bad. There's worse ones, of course. But her, like, when she wears red, I'm dead. I'm like, oh, you're so good.
It's so
She's
good.
a very beautiful, aesthetically just very pretty person.
Yes, she is.
Just beautiful. But the way that she was in The Mandalorian with the braids, is that right?
Braids.
And like she took off that when we first saw her briefly when she was in the hood, and it kind of did the Star Wars thing where they look and then people run past and they're gone, like that kind of standard Star Wars thing. But when she took off that helmet, I was like, Mercedes.
I know. It's like, snap it, sis. Like she came to play. And that's the first thing that I saw. And like you said, she's got something there. And
her face was
like, her face was good. It was the right intention. Tone of voice was good. Face was good. And it's just like, I'm just going to dip my toe here and I'll see you later, And it's one of those things like, cash my check. I was so annoyed that people were like, it's only 6 lines. First of all, she's in The Mandalorian. So normally it's like a one episode. It's from Disney Plus.
Disney, everybody.
That's all you need in your life.
The biggest franchise in the fucking world is Disney.
I know.
So calm your damn titties. That's how I say it about it. But
that's right.
She did well. I thought she
did very well. And I really enjoyed that episode.
And I popped.
And I was happy to see it.
As a wrestling person, of course I popped. I was
like,
it's boss time. I was like, here we go.
It's boss time. I know. I'm excited to see what she does next. I hope it's other stuff that's fantasy sci-fi. I think that'd really work for her.
I think she has definitely wrestling isn't forever. You can't wrestle until you're 70 years old. You can act till you're 70 years old though.
Yeah, sure.
There's always roles for people.
As long as you want.
So I hope that she does dabble with that a little bit more. I'm not saying she's going to be in, and A movies and going to be selling out box office, but you never know. I mean, The Rock did it. Batista did it. So why can't she?
Hey, listen. Woo.
It could just set her off into the stratosphere too, because I mean, wrestling is always craving to get outside of wrestling in the sense of like, we want more people to watch wrestling. She could be that next one. You don't know. You really don't know.
Hey, could happen. I wasn't expecting it with Batista.
No.
In terms of Guardians of the Galaxies and all the Avengers movies. He did really well. It was perfectly suited for him.
Kind of surprised me. I was like, oh.
Yeah, I thought he did great.
The Rock's probably arguably the biggest movie star in the world.
He's unbelievable, this guy. I don't know how he's able to do what he does. I really don't. He's got so many like shows and movies and projects and stuff going on. And he bought the XFL and like, what is happening?
And he doesn't have to do those things. He could retire right now and be set for the rest of his damn life.
Of course he can, but he's not going to because that's not his personality. He's a
hard worker.
He's a worker.
I wish I had that work ethic because he just hustles. He hustles. He does things that he does not need to do. He just does them because he wants to and he wants to challenge himself. It's just so, it's kind of inspiring, isn't it?
It really is.
Like, not to sound cheesy, but it is kind of inspiring to see someone like that come from our world that we love so much as kids. And now people know him for movies more than they know him for wrestling.
I know, that's weird to me.
I still know him as The Rock, the wrestler, the guy in the Nation of Domination. You know what I mean?
Always The Rock, the wrestler. And I find it so weird that like people don't know him as The Rock.
Yeah, it's Dwayne.
It's Dwayne Johnson, who happened to have also wrestled at one time.
They know he wrestled. He's a wrestler that became a movie star to me.
The king. like there's.
Are you a Rock person or an Austin? Are you an Austin girl?
I'm a Stone Cold girl. However, I will say, I really liked The Rock also.
I appreciated The Rock more when I was older. Hollywood Rock.
So good. That was my favorite Rock.
A cocky bitch. That was my I'm taking like peak 2003 Hollywood rock concert Rock. The Hamburglar go steal my chicken McNuggets when he said it to the hurricane. Like, so just classic timeless stuff that will live on forever. Within the world of wrestling. But he transcended wrestling. He's bigger than wrestling.
Oh, completely.
He bigger
absolutely
than wrestling. Wrestling wishes it was that big. It will never be that big. But okay, so you're an Austin girl. I would probably consider myself an Austin person over The Rock. Just because I feel like when Austin was on top, Rock was never on top as long as Austin. That's how I kind of see it. When Rock was on top, he was on top because Austin wasn't there.
That's also how I feel. But
so that to me makes you number 2. That in my,
that to me, you're right.
I don't know. I know some people will be like, but like when Rocky was on top, he was on top for a short period of time, and then Austin was on top for. I mean, when you look at it, their careers weren't overly long.
Yeah, I mean,
in the terms of like being the main person, it was like 6 years.
It was a long time. It was a long time of them going back and forth. I mean, yes and no.
Because now it's like 20-year careers, 40-year career, 30-year careers, whatever.
Well, like for Stone Cold's injuries, I feel like he lasted a lot longer than I thought he was going to. You know?
That's true. The man broke his neck.
Yeah. And the knees and like it just
his knees.
Constant battle for him. Yeah. And like I just remember seeing him towards the end in the early 2000s, and I was like, bro, just go.
When he left, I feel bad for you. When did he walk out? 2002? 2, wasn't it? Yeah, it had to be 2 because 2003. He left in 2002 because that was when before Brock won the title, and that was at SummerSlam 2002.
I feel like he was there longer and didn't officially retire then.
He walked away in 2002, then come back at the start of 2003.
That must have been it.
To fight Rock, and then had his retirement with Rock. It is pretty bizarre, by the way, that Austin has retired and never had another match.
Never, not once.
He's like the only person.
He's one of the only people to ever do that.
I was like Sean, but Sean had that disastrous match in Saudi, so like, and he didn't like he stuck to his guns for so long, and it's like the perfect.
I wish he had stuck with it more, but
everybody had another match, but Austin has not.
He's been done.
Austin still, you could see when you see him on like what is it, the Broken Skull sessions, whatever they have. He's jacked still. He's a big dude. So I'm like, you could probably do this if you wanted to.
He probably could have, and I think he just was. That was it.
Like he has a perfect ending.
Like why mess with that? And also, like I hesitate to say a lot of those things because we're not them. And
that's true.
What I thought was very interesting too was like watching the Undertaker series Last Ride,
which is really good, by the way. Everybody who hasn't watched it. Even if you're not a wrestling person, everyone knows who the Undertaker is. It's
my dad watched it
really, really well. It's like emotionally, like it's like, oh my God, this man was going through so much, and you can almost understand. Like every time that we say he shouldn't have had that match, you can understand why he did.
Yeah, which is changed my perspective a little bit because I'm just over here like, oh my God, and it's more out of a place of concern for health than like
fandom.
The more. Right. It's more like, I just don't know if you should. Like, I'm sure your doctor said it's all right, but like, is it really? I don't know.
You're getting older. You've done this for a long time, dude. You don't need to prove to you are one of the greatest, if not the greatest of all time. You don't need
of all time.
Any of us what's going on anymore. We know how good you are.
I know. It was just so heartbreaking to feel like he wasn't satisfied with his whole, like the ending of his career. And like, I don't know, but I think everything happens for a reason because that match with AJ Styles, which was the real first attempt at a cinematic match for WWE in this era, right? So it was the best.
He could do what he favorite. He could do what he needed to do without taking bumps, essentially. in a weird wrestling
No ring needed. It was a fight. You felt like it was
AJ
Undertaker.
Was the perfect person to get him to where he needed to go because AJ can fly around, take all the damage of all of that, and he can just kind of do what he needs. Just be the Undertaker. Strike lightning from your hands, ride in on a fucking motorbike, by the way, which was like the coolest ever. Play some Metallica.
Put your fist up, logo in the back, see you later.
Shit is on fire, Metallica plays, perfect ending.
I'd be like, here's my hat, I'm all done. There's no better way to go. Like for me, if I was the Undertaker, I'd be like,
is he done? Do you actually think he's done?
This year is 30 years of The Undertaker. I feel like if it wasn't COVID, we'd have a very different situation.
Do you think you'd be having that one?
Or next year, rather. Next year. Next year, 30 years of The Undertaker?
No, we're having 30 years at Survivor Series, aren't we?
It is 30 years, right?
Yeah. Yeah, they're
so
doing
I'm
like a
right.
30
Okay.
years. He's going to be at Survivor Series. Well, this will already be out by the time. So he was at Survivor Series, at least at time of recording. He's
Right.
appearing, but he's not. He'll probably choke slam someone, something,
I'm
stand.
sure. Yeah.
But
Do I
to
think he's
me, I know
done?
he keeps saying, I'm done. But
I feel good.
he said
Yeah.
that so many times. Do you think in his mind, though, do you think his last match could not be inside of a wrestling ring?
Pre-COVID, I would have said no. Now I feel like he got this ending, and it was a beautiful shot. That
Really
fist,
was.
like that logo, and he was on that bike, his
Oh,
bandana still
oh.
strapped tight, and it was just, it's one of those things where it was perfect.
Hmm.
Even though it was COVID, even if you took COVID out of it,
You
this
still
is
could have done that
how,
without COVID, couldn't you?
that's what I'm saying, and I feel like it would be perfect. But for the Undertaker not to have his final match in the ring, I can see why people would be like, he's probably going to get one more in the ring and then that's it. And he's going to go down on his back and put someone else over. I can see it. But it makes me nervous because COVID's not going anywhere.
No.
And I don't
I
know how
love
they're
how
going to
people
do
think,
that.
by the way, that it's like January 1st, 2021. Everyone's like, New Year, COVID's gone.
It's not until that vaccine
bitch.
is widely spread. So I
And
don't
everyone gets
know.
it. Some people don't want to get it,
There's
which
that too, Josh.
I don't understand.
Yeah, I don't know. And like the part of me like really wants to have the Fiend and Undertaker, and the other part of me wants Aleister Black to embrace that dark side, as
that
I
poor
know.
guy
But like,
is probably
beside himself.
Everybody knows I've been on Twitter and I've kind of said my piece with wrestling.
I know.
It's very hard. I don't know if I'm going to continue to watch because it's hard for me to give up something I love so much because I love the in-ring side of things, no matter what it is. I love wrestling and I cherish wrestling and it just hits me like nothing else does. But morally, it's so just
tough.
and
They make it
everyone's like
hard.
WWE, like it's everywhere, dude. There's just scum
everywhere.
everywhere in wrestling, and it's just so littered. And it's like, can I separate the talent that I love so much from the companies or just the higher ups or whatever you want to call it? It's just, and it's scary to me that you could support someone and then tomorrow they could come out and they've done something horrible. That's what scares me the most because we really don't know who to trust, do we, in this industry?
I mean, people that I've idolized since, I mean, even Stone Cold to an extent, it's hard to say in some respects that I'm a Stone Cold fan because of his personal stuff. And
you try to be like, oh, can you separate their political beliefs from this? But then it's like some of them parade around and they're like this. And it's like, I don't know if I can separate the two anymore because wrestlers to a certain degree are just playing exaggerated versions of themselves.
Right.
That's where the disconnect is, at least for me. But the Zelina stuff kind of was just like the breaking point for me. I'm like, this woman is just trying to make a little few extra, or just trying to do something with her time.
Sad, isn't it? It's sad.
And it's like,
sad.
Really? And I understand there's two sides to every story and we don't know everything and we probably will not know everything because we'll only hear from one perspective. But that was just kind of like, I messaged you, Queen, and I was just like, I don't know if I can do this anymore. If I'm going to watch it, it's going to be on my own time and I'm not going to parade around the fact that I'm kind of watching wrestling because it's just, so ugly to me and it just hurts me as a person. You know what I mean? It's not the talent and it's not the actual wrestling. I always love that. And I still will watch old wrestling and be like, yeah, fuck yeah. It's just like,
it's tough now. It's tough morally. And, you know, with everything with the speaking out movement and so much stuff, it's really kind of toned back what I do watch, you know, and
I think I'm just going to be,
I watch very specific. I watch very specific things. And AEW even I've taken a step back in some regards. In some things, I'm all in.
Everyone, I'm not being a WWE loyalist. I understand I love WWE and I always will have a love for WWE. But people are just acting like AEW's golden. No, they do things wrong as well. And they have people in their company that aren't great people either. So just, it's wrestling across the board. I understand WWE is the main culprit and they do a lot of things wrong. I know that. But it's wrestling as an industry.
It is. It's tough. And it makes it hard to watch. Yeah, because you want to enjoy it and you want to love it, which is why I'm specifically only watching certain promotions now. And You know, like I'll tune into WWE
You
normally
watch
with
the
you.
pay-per-views. Yeah,
We'll watch the pay-per-views together.
I'll probably watch Survivor Series. Like, there's no doubt to me. At time of recording, Raw's on in half an hour. Will I have it on the background? Maybe. Will I not?
I won't.
It's my prerogative. You know what I mean? No, but
That's right. You do you. That's the thing. You do
but it's
whatever you
just-
want to do.
I'm
It's just
definitely
hard.
not going to be diving into wrestling like I used to be, because it's just
Yeah.
maybe in 6 months' time. Who knows? Maybe the whole industry will clean up in a year. We don't know that.
That would be nice. You know,
It'd be great. I'll be back in.
Yeah, I just find it difficult because there's a lot of
Me
people
too.
that I love, and specifically in NXT, there's a lot of people I love
Yeah.
that have come from the indies,
And
and
NXT
I'm so
is like
excited.
so great, and it's
And
like
they have people there that I'm like, what are you doing? You don't need this person. They're terrible, trash human. Get rid of them. You know, and I don't understand why they won't do that. And it's the same thing we were, you know, when we were talking earlier about why people do what they do. It just blows my mind. Like, we just don't need that kind of negativity. Just get rid of it. It's not that hard.
Bye. And everyone knows who we're alluding to. It's Velveteen Dream.
I'm not going to say it, but
I will. He's a piece of shit, and he should not be employed by a company.
trash.
I will happily say it on this show. I don't mind. Yep. I've been very vocal about things. Some people have been a bit off-put by me, I think, sometimes, because I'm a little bit outspoken. I know I'm a very opinionated, outspoken person.
That's all right.
But I'm doing what I feel is right. I don't like sexual abusers.
Nope.
And I don't think that's the wrong thing to voice. You voiced it on your Twitter.
I voiced it, and I will continue to.
I don't think you did it maybe as much as me, but like...
No, but I came out and said trash is trash. And I say it, and I say it once, and that's it.
And it's not exclusive to one place. People think, oh, you're a WWE fan. No, there's many people. I called out
Sammy Guevara. I've called out Chris Jericho. I've called out people on the indie scene, and I will continue to do it. I can't.
Exactly.
I just can't.
In any industry. It doesn't fucking matter if we're watching wrestling or we're watching someone play with fucking Play-Doh.
Film.
It's just...
YouTube. Doesn't matter. Wrong is wrong, right? Yep. And that's the thing. And I say, like, I don't want to say his name because I don't want to give him any clout or respect, because honestly, you're absolute horrible human, and you got to go, in my opinion. And you know, it's just, I don't like to give people like that credence. I'll say what I need to say, and I will continue to say it, and then that's it. Because I just don't. Fuck that.
It's just, I will, like I said, wrestling will always be here. It will always be in my heart, and I'll always love it. And I'll still always love the in-ring product. Like I said, Survivor Series is coming up. There's a lot of stuff that I'd like to watch. There's a lot of stuff there's a lot of talent I like to support. But the fact that it's like a crime for them to play games on Twitch kind of rubs me the wrong way. Because I just put myself in a situation where if my boss come to me and said, you can no longer be on Twitch, I would tell them to get fucked.
It's just not. And I know it has.
I know the Twitch thing is not like you know. I understand them not being like, you can't use your wrestling name. That's
fine. That's fine.
That's to make sense to me. Like, why would he want them benefiting from that's their name to use on their television show? I get that. I'm like, good stuff. That's your property. But to be like, give me your fucking password. I'm gonna go in here because I want to make your money. That is just like,
you don't need any money,
$1 billion corporation. Dude, you're so rich. You don't need any more money. And they're not wrestling on house shows. They're not making
that extra income that they normally do.
Exactly. But
merch sales are down, and you know, it's
the whole industry is
people
down.
Do whatever you want. Why can't people do what they want?
As long as it's not hurting anybody. Company. As long as they're not going out there and being like, I hate WWE. I'm Zelina
none
Vega.
Of them
they were all flying that flag. If anything, it gets more people to watch wrestling. That's how I see it anyway. But
I know.
I'm not the person behind the scenes. So I can only control my own actions. So my actions are what I can control. I can't control what that company does or any company does. So that's how I see it. But to divert, we'll kind of the last little topic we'll talk about before I let Queenie go, because she's probably like, oh, it's time for bed
soon.
Let's talk about music for a minute, because music just makes me smile. First things first, we'll get the ugliness out of the way. I want to talk to you about Billie Eilish, because we've talked about her on previous shows of mine or yours before. And a few weeks ago, she had a little bit of a issue with the media. I don't know if you've seen the pictures of her that came out, and everyone was calling her fat and everyone was calling her ugly, and she doesn't care. We've had conversations about how much we love Billie Eilish for not that it's a bad thing to be sexualized, but she's a young girl. She's 18 years old, and she doesn't want focus to be on her boobs. She wants focus to be on her music, which is what music should always be about. Looks don't matter. You hear music, you don't see music, in my opinion. So I just felt so crummy and so disgusted with how people were labeling her. Grown men, grown
I
women
know.
were labeling her as fat and ugly, like she doesn't care. I just wanted to get your opinion on it, because I know we've talked about Billy before and how much we just love Billy for being someone that kind of stands up for what's right. How do you feel about all of that when you've seen that? I know you probably would have been like, ugh.
Oh, I was so upset for her, and it's, I find it so annoying. She's so young and she started so young, right? And
Very
making
impressionable.
her EPs with
Mm.
her brother in their childhood home, like
In their
not a recording
bedroom.
studio, like
In their
in the
bedroom.
bedroom. He's got a whole setup in there and she's singing and he's producing and he's doing backup
By the
vocals and
way,
all that
shout
stuff.
out to Phineas, because he's so good. If anyone
Yo,
hasn't
the
listened to
talent.
Phineas, he is he's got a beautiful voice. Whew.
Well, yes. Yeah, exactly. He can absolutely sing, but he's got such a producer mind. It's wild. He's got a gift, and she has just this voice that is just it's
Lyrically,
just
she's so good.
she really is. And I always thought it was kind of cool of her to wear these oversized clothes and like
Mhm.
do what she wants to do. And I love that she did interviews and she's like, yeah, I still live with my parents. Yes, I live at home. Doesn't matter that I made all this money. I don't really care. It's not like she doesn't care that she's
It's
successful.
this.
She's
It's this.
humbled, but she's just like,
Yeah,
that's not what I'm doing it
it's not
for. I
important.
love this.
It's
Right.
not
I love
important.
what I
She's like,
do.
I seen like an interview with Jimmy Kimmel and that she's like, yeah, my mom made me do the dishes last night. It's like
Yeah,
she's a
she's living
kid,
like a normal teenage life, and
as
it's
any kid would.
humbling yeah, and a reminder like, yes, I have all the success and sure I could go buy myself a house and yes, I could live on my own, but I don't want to do that. So that's
Mhm,
not what's important to me
mhm.
right
I love
now.
that.
And I respect that and love that about her so much. And I thought it was so cool that she chose her fashion to still be fashion forward for
Oh
sure,
yeah. Oh
but
yeah. Some
also
of the stuff she
to
wears, I'm like, you look cool as fuck.
so cool. And people like gravitate towards her and trends were started off of her. And I just find it really fun. And then to have people come after her,
Ugh.
I just was like, oh,
Ugh.
why
Ugh.
this is whoa, this world is so harsh to celebrities. And I just, and every regular day people as well, but just in the terms of like, you're in the spotlight all the time
She
and
can't get away from that.
you can't get away from that. And there's photographers all around you all the time. And
When
that has
you
to be
don't
just so
know, and
frustrating.
like that would just really, you would feel, I don't think I could live that life. You know what I
I
mean?
couldn't either. I've
It would
never,
send me
I've never
insane.
aspired to fame. I've never wanted it. I just seen, you know what it is? I was reflecting on that too, because someone was like, why didn't you pursue such and such, with acting? And I was like, to be honest with you, when I was a little kid, I watched Princess Diana die in a car crash because of paparazzi. And that scarred the shit out of me.
Yeah, it
I was
would.
terrified and I was like, I never want to be famous because people hound you. And that from a very young age, that to me was like, nope, I never want anything to do with that.
It's weird. For one, I think Billie Eilish is a very fantastic role model, especially for young girls, boys
I
as
agree.
well, because I do feel like body image for boys is not talked about enough. And I've had my own issues with body image and stuff like that. But especially for girls being like, I don't want to have to wear, little outfits just to get noticed and stuff like this. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing, because some girls are very proud. They're very proud of their bodies and they want to go for it, show it off. But for someone like Billie, who is arguably one of the biggest pop stars in the world, I really can't
Mm-hmm.
name too many others that rival her, especially with her counterparts. You look at people like Ariana Grande, who's she's a gorgeous woman, just beautiful, but she is a very, I guess, in a word, lack of a better term, she's very sexualized in a lot of ways.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for
People look at
sure.
her and she's, oh my God, like, she's so sexy. When Billie, you don't really get that. It's like they're probably the two counterparts I'm just kind of using as an example, but they're so
Mm-hmm.
different. Do the same thing,
Yeah.
so different.
Yep.
And I'm not saying one's better than the other. It's just how you kind of look at the
Yeah,
world.
it's
But
presentation and what you're
yeah,
comfortable with and the songs you want to sing and
yeah, they're very different
you know,
musically. Very
very
different.
different musically.
Both
Yeah.
great, but very different musically. How do you feel
Mhm.
about Billie's? Have you heard Billie's new song that came out the other day? Therefore I
Which
am, I
one's
believe.
that?
Therefore I
No,
am, I
I
think
haven't
it's called.
heard it yet, but I saw it pop up, but I haven't heard it. Is it good? I'm sure it's good.
Yeah, it's good. It's very Billie, like very Billie. And watch
Yeah,
the music video.
I
It's
will.
it's very. She's in like a mall, and it's like all closed, and she eats donuts and stuff. It's
I mean,
kind of the
fabulous. We love demos.
kind of the dream. But music at the moment, the only reason I want to end on music is because it always just brings a bright spot when I talk about like Michelle Branch or something like that from the early 2000s. Because we have a soft spot for the early 2000s. I mean,
We
I put
do.
Pieces of Me by Ashley Simpson in that playlist, and you were like, oh my God, I forgot about this. I forgot
And it
about
was like
this.
the best thing ever.
Yeah. Early
Totally
2000s
forgot.
generic pop music is my
Oh,
jam. It's what I grew up
so
on
good.
when you think about it. Like, I was
Yeah.
thinking about this the other day, and what I wanted to kind of end on was the fact that, so when I started high school, 13 years old, this is what was kind of playing. All right. And I just want to, I want to make you feel, I want to make you feel it here. Just
Okay,
Dance
great.
by Lady Gaga was #1 in the world when I started high school.
Oh gosh.
Kesha was just coming out. TikTok was just coming out. Not TikTok
Oh
the app,
god.
everybody. TikTok the song. A lot of
Mm.
Jason Derulo was playing. Uh,
Jason Derulo. You have
Jason
to do it if you say his
Derulo.
name.
Jason Derulo. Why does he say that? I don't get it. Rihanna's second album was pumping.
Rihanna's second album.
Yeah,
Oh
she was pumping.
man.
There was a lot of Brand New Eyes by Paramore was kind of like everyone was like, oh yeah, this is cooler. You know, this is not like exactly what's on the radio. It's a little
Yeah, a
different.
little edgy.
Yeah, a
Yeah.
little edgy. A 15-year-old Josh was like, oh yes, please. But yeah, lots of late. Gaga was the biggest thing in the world when I started high school. So all throughout high school, that's the kind of
Wow.
music I was in high school. So when I was, starting to go to parties at like 16, 17 years old, it was Gaga, it was Kesha. It was like the second version of the Black Eyed Peas where they were like dance music, not rap music.
Yes, the dance
Yeah.
music.
The dance
Yes.
music, all of that was kind of playing. So when people are like, oh my God, you put a lot of those songs in those playlists, I'm like, that's what was cool when I was in high school. I guess music's probably evolved a little bit since then.
Very.
It's gone back, hasn't it? It's gone from like computer generated stuff to like the cooler stuff is now the real artists again.
Yeah, you know
so?
what's interesting? It's kind of funny. It like when I was in high school, it was a lot of Jay-Z and Eminem
Yeah, you
and
would have grown up with
Nelly
that.
and all
R&B.
that
Lots of
Ludacris
R&B
and
and stuff
lots of
like that.
R&B and rap and very very popular, and the boy bands were starting to phase out, in the early 2000s. So
oh, it's so weird to me how we're so
I know it's
different.
well, we're 10 years apart. So yeah, it's weird, but I find it interesting now that when I was growing up, it was a lot about song lyrics. What do they mean? And our AOL instant messenger statuses, for those of us who had it, will understand what that means. And and MySpace and putting the song in MySpace and like I know.
I wish I was around for them. I believe I like was on
You
the
would
very edge of
loved it.
MySpace, but I don't remember it.
You would have loved it. It would have been right up your alley, with the songs, especially because then your page would load and it would automatically play the song. Listen, it was a big deal.
Okay.
But all of that was all about the lyrics and what do lyrics mean. And now I'm finding a lot of these new people. Also, there's so much more different varieties of ways you can listen to music now and how you put music out.
It's not just like it's on a music
radio.
channel on a radio. It's like YouTube, SoundCloud. You can literally, me and you could record a song right now and upload it to Spotify essentially.
Sure we could. Yeah. And I find it so cool, and I've seen a lot in recent, I'd say this year, a little bit of end of last year. Actually, I would include all of last year into this year, a lot of lyric based songs. I feel like for a while there was a lot of trash, like repetitive BS.
That's just what was kind of in, wasn't it? It was like the same beat, let's say the same word, and let's just kind of
it's the same thing.
It was catchy, I guess, in a sense. I understand
it was catchy in a sense, but it was
like fun, but it wasn't like anything that had any substance.
Right. And
not
now
saying the songs were bad. Some of them were great. Some of them
were great, but some of them were just like
a lot of like, this isn't trashing on anyone that likes the Chainsmokers, but the Chainsmokers are a great example of that. Like very like repetitive, same kind of beat throughout the song. Great beat that you can just kind of like, yeah, this is a fun track, but in 2 years time, I'm not really going to care.
Not going to remember it, right? Yeah. And I feel like now we have a lot more lyrically based, or trying to be more lyrically based again, and it's cool. It's fun to see music trends and how they evolve and change. And
music trends so crazily, doesn't it? It's
so
probably
crazy,
the most trendy industry in terms of like it changes and evolves so quickly.
Yeah, and it's just wild to me how you can open an app like TikTok and in 3 seconds a song that you've never heard of by an artist you've never heard of is the most popular thing ever. Like
And that's what's
24
gauging.
Golden. What
Oh,
like what happened with him? That was wild.
it's I would never hear those songs in any other way.
Me neither.
TikTok is what kids are on, basically. That is kind
Right.
of teenagers and early 20s age kind of dictates what's trendy in my eyes anyway. We're
Yep.
probably both a little bit out of that now, to be completely honest.
I'm definitely out of that. Yeah.
I'm
old.
I'm on the cusp of like, I've
You're
noticed
not.
that. No, I've noticed with some things I'm like, wait a minute, this is what kids are listening to now.
Kids, you're not even 25 yet. Stop it. You will be, but not yet.
I feel it. I feel it. I feel it, Queen. I really do.
Call me in 10 years when you're 34 and tell me how you feel then.
I'll just be like, my back will be sore, and I'll be like, oh, this disgruntled old man.
Yes.
Still on Twitch. I'm like, this is what they played in my day.
That's right.
WWE 2K20.
You'll be the new millennials. Everything was better when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It
is true,
it is,
but
well, yeah. But it is kind of crazy how much music is dictated by that kind of age group. And TikTok is something that's what the kids are kind of on, and that's just what's popular. But music does change so much, and I feel like real instruments are coming back to a forefront of like, okay, this has real instruments. We're gonna use this, and even like mainstream, if you want to call it pop music, I don't really know what it's called anymore, because I don't know if it's necessarily like, it's not pop music. Pop music to me is like,
it's not
Kelly
pop
Clarkson
music, but it's pop music in 2020,
it's
right?
just what mainstream music is, I should say. But it is very much like real instruments, real lyrics, songs with actual substance that mean something, instead of just being like fun party tunes. I think that's why Billie is so at the forefront of everything, is because she's very honest, especially if someone's so young, to have lyrically be that sound at 18 years old. I wish I knew what I was talking about at 18 years old, because I did not. I did not know what I was doing. I was just like, whoa, like just partying and you know, school and all of that kind of stuff. But she's very driven, and I think Phineas probably has a pretty big hand.
A lot to do with that. Yeah,
he's not that much older.
Create a lot of those things.
I don't think he's that
much.
Not
that much older. I mean, he's definitely older than her.
Yeah,
but you know, he's had a lot more life experience to help write those type of songs.
Exactly.
But it's the way that she delivers them. She has a lot of intention behind it. I find that very interesting.
It's cool to see brother and sister be that close too. They're like besties.
I think it's awesome.
Me too, because you don't really see that. That's not portrayed in the media, is it? Brother and sister are like best friends. It's like a sister and brother, but you never see that. I grew up closer in age to my sister, so I've always been close to my sister. But it's never really been portrayed that way. But yeah, music is just something that's just so cool, and I just love. Music can alter your mood. It really can. Or sometimes you're sad and you put on sad music because you kind of need to ride that out. But you know, to full circle back to what we were talking about at the very beginning of this, that is the reason. Another reason why I give you songs is just to kind of let your that's kind of dictates your day in a weird way. In a weird. It
does. Kind of music sets the tone. I always listen to music, and sometimes podcasts on the way to work. Always, and I listen to music while I work all the time. Music, I'm never quiet. Sometimes it's instrumental if I really need to focus, but for the most part,
there's no situation to me that isn't enhanced by music in some way. I always listen to music, even if I'm like, unless I'm actually watching something. That's the only time I'm really not listening to music. But music can enhance television in a lot of ways. Like certain scenes need music to make them better, and movies and stuff like that.
More dramatic.
Scores are incredibly important that people don't realize enough. Scores are so important in movies. Oh my God.
They're beyond important.
They're so good. But anyway, we're kind of wrapping this up. We've gone for a long time, which is fine. But it's been great to catch up again. I'll make sure we do it again sooner rather than later.
Yes, please.
Because we got Christmas coming up. We've got New Year coming up. You're going to have a baby at some point. Like everything's just happening. And we're still in COVID. We're still in this mess of a world. It's a crazy time. It's a crazy,
mess, but at least we're friends.
Look at that. It is just a wild time. But Queen, you don't really have anything to promote because you don't have a podcast anymore. But you still do have a Twitter page and stuff like that. Where can everyone follow you? Is there anything you would like to kind of yap on about for the next 30 seconds? Because the floor is yours.
I got a little something. So you can find me at the Queen of Any on Twitter. I've been making appearances here and there, so I'm very grateful that you wanted to chat with me as a retired podcast life. It's nice, but every now and then I miss jabbing my
Queen's
mouth
just sitting
off.
on a deck with her pool chair,
I
just like,
am.
oh, the retired life.
Honestly, though, for real. But I do miss it, and so it's been super fun. So thank you for having me.
No worries.
But I am gonna come out of retirement to promote Synergy Pro Wrestling. I'm gonna talk to Colin West, Mr. Colin West. He is putting on a all women's pay-per-view, and when I say all women, I mean all women. Women bookers, women referees, women commentators, women everything. The
Which is a good
whole
thing.
show is
Yeah.
run by females. He is stepping back from his job as owner, and they are running the show. And it's coming in December, and I'm super excited about it. It's one of the first times I've ever seen something like this happen on such a large scale. Like having an all-female show, of course, yeah, but like every single person in the room who's anything to do with that show is a woman, which is unbelievably amazing. And I'm going to chat with him about that show before it drops on December the 12th. So I'm only coming out of retirement just for this because of how passionately I feel about female and women's wrestling.
Yeah.
And the indie wrestlers on this card are phenomenal. So get excited. And I will be doing that. So you'll hear me talking wrestling again. And it's a one-time deal, but I have to because girl power. So
Girl power. Fight the
Yeah.
good fight. You know what I mean? Fight the good fight. One final question, Queen.
Yes,
One
sir.
final question. I know that you have allergies to cats, dogs. You're allergic to everything, basically, aren't you? It's just sucks.
I am.
How do you? I just want to know. How do you cope in your home without a pet? Because it would drive me mad if I didn't have Giddy.
Yeah, honestly, I've never had pets because my dad's very allergic to animals, and my mom was
Okay.
never an animal fan.
Okay.
She just never really wanted to take care of any type of pet.
Understandable.
It wasn't really her thing, and
So you've
so
never known
I
it.
never had pets.
You never know what it's like.
I've never known what it's like. However, Mr. Queen has always grown up with a dog. So I made a tentative deal that, once we have children, I would consider getting a dog. See, the problem is I have to get shots in order to make that happen. And they're every week, and you can't miss them or you have to start over. So it's kind
It's
of a
hard.
bummer, but I
Is
know
it
he's
worth
always
it?
had a dog, and I feel bad, because if I grew up with one and couldn't have one, I'd be sad too. But I get through it because I don't know any better, and
Yeah.
I have
I've
lots.
always grown up with animals.
I
so
find
I'm
somebody else to occupy my time.
as soon as I left home, I'm like, I've got to get an animal because it's just what
Yeah.
I've known. But I mean, I'm a cat person, so
I know you are.
I love dogs.
Cats make my throat close, I'm sorry to say, but she is really
cats.
cute.
I love Giddy so much. Giddy, where the hell are you? You always make an appearance at the end of this damn show. On every single show that I've had, on every single one that I've recorded so far, she's either sitting right here or she comes in at the end and she just sits right here and she's just like, what up? But she doesn't want to come out today, so I don't know. I know that feeling, not wanting to come out. I'm gay. It's I just don't understand. It's just to me, it's such a foreign concept of I couldn't imagine not having a pet. It's in me
I
mad.
know.
But I live on my own too, so Giddy's
that probably has something to do with it as well. I've never lived fully by myself. I've always been with my parents or my roommate or Mr. Queen. So that's what happened.
when I find a Mister, then
Yeah.
I will live with someone else. Queen's on it, by the way. Anytime
Listen.
I'm like, this dude, this, and she's like, he's got to pass the Queen test because he ain't.
I'm ready. You got
to
people
grill
don't think
this
I'm
dude.
serious. I'm terrifying. If you ever want to vet somebody, call me. I will vet them.
It'll literally be like a Zoom call like this. I won't record it, and I'll have if I ever find a man.
It'll be like this.
I'll have him. It'll be like this, and Queen will just be like, "Okay."
Do you appreciate 2000s Pops classics?
Because if not,
you don't know them. Bye.
Queen, he'll have to pass the Queen test, and I'll be sitting here I'm sorry, dude. If you don't pass this, you're out of here.
You gotta go.
He's done. Here's a little tidbit for everybody. I'm open the fact that I'm on Tinder. I had a lovely Tinder date. It was nice. Then he told me he didn't like cats.
No.
Do you think I talked to him on Tinder again? I was like, unmatch.
Gotta go.
There's always something.
See, you gotta vet that before.
See, that should have been a leading question.
Do you like cats?
But I have Giddy in my Tinder pictures. Like Giddy's all over it. You would think that would come up and be like, "Oh, you have a cat."
These boys need to be asked questions. Point blank.
I'm not good at that. I'm so bad with that. See, maybe I need to give you my Tinder password and just be like, "Can you talk to these dudes for me?" Because I
Listen, I'll get you a cute one.
Queen's gonna find me a nice American, and then I'll just.
I really will, so you can have like citizenship, so you can come over here all the time.
The Queen just wants to hang out with me. I think that's the.
Basically, yes. The guy's irrelevant as long as he's cute.
Whatever. On that note, it's been very fun to catch up with you. I know it's been like 2 hours of your time, so I do appreciate it.
I love chatting with you, buddy.
Oh, it's the best. So we'll make sure we'll talk, of course, but for the sake of podcasting and talking face to face, I probably won't talk to you again before Christmas in face to face capacity. So have a nice Christmas.
You too, buddy.
I love
Enjoy
Christmas.
it.
We love Christmas so much. You see the tinsel behind me.
I do. It's fabulous.
And all out there is all Christmas. I've shown you my Christmas tree.
I love your Christmas tree.
I've seen your Christmas tree, and I'm just like,
yes.
Oh, I love Christmas. As soon as I could, I was like, let's get out wait till Christmas week for those Christmas songs, Queen. It's going to be the most
boy band
week.
Christmas songs alone.
Oh, bitch. That's
I'm
like
ready, bitch.
Backstreet Boys and NSYNC. Oh, it's going to be fun. But on that note, I'll talk to you guys on my intro. But everyone, give a round of applause for the lovely Queen. She's been fantastic. And see her soon on Synergy stuff, because I'm sure she'll promote the shit out of that. I will. So on that note, see you later, Queenie, and I'll talk to you guys in the outro. Bye. Isn't Queen just like the most wonderful lady? She's just so great. I love talking to Queen. We could have talked for hours and hours and hours. We had to cap it at something, but it was a really fun conversation and just a really intelligent conversation to have with one of my favorite people. So I hope you kind of like the conversation. If you do, if you're watching here on YouTube, thumbs up, of course. Leave a like, a comment below. All helps me out. I thank you for the views on the video side of things. If you're subscribed on the audio feed, thank you very much. Let me know on Twitter at JoshRobinson00 what you think of the show. It all helps, and it kind of lets me know that you guys are liking what's coming out and all that kind of good stuff. So make sure you leave some feedback and all that kind of stuff. All my links are in the description below. Next week is a very important episode. You'll find out the guest a little bit later in the week over on my socials. It's very good. So until then, I'll catch you on the next one. Have a good day, everybody.